Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan of SportsMemo.com. This is the Major League Baseball Full Count Show for Tuesday, May the 3rd, 2022. A little bit after 3 o'clock. We apologize for starting late. Had just a minor technical issue going on. But other than that, I'm doing great. And my two co-hosts are Dr. Chuck, who's on the far right there with the Sports Memo background, and Kevin Thomas in the middle, always wearing the Phillies garb, and I love it. Absolutely love it. We got to get the producer to give us a Phillies game sometime to break down. Or that's worthwhile, I guess. But welcome to the show, guys. Let's get to this first game, and that is the San Diego Padres. The fathers are going against the Guardians. It does sound rather religious, doesn't it? Tongue-in-cheek, of course. That's supposed to be funny. It's not. But anyway, San Diego is on the road playing the Cleveland Guardians with Zach Plesac on the hill for the Guardians. He's 1-2 with an ERA that's pretty decent of 3.80. We also have Mike Clevinger, who's making his season debut for the Padres. National League West against the American League Central. Let's start with Dr. Chuck. And before you do your breakdown, Dr. Chuck, tell us how Sports Memo's going for you and any hot streaks or special promotions you have going on over there.
Absolutely. Well, we are the $2 capper today, along with Joe D'Amico wins and Ross Benjamin. You can get all three of those, of course, for $5. So check us out. I have a 5-unit baseball play, not one of the games we're discussing on the show, just to narrow it down a little bit there. But we started off great. First month of the season was pretty awesome. Up a little bit, almost 45 units already, and striving for that 200-unit season like last year. But going well, and we're doing a little bit even better in the NBA playoffs right now. So we had a 2-0 night on the hardwood last night, even though, personally, my Sixers look like they're dead in the water without Embiid, and maybe even if he comes back. But this first game, so Clevinger, first off, unfortunately, we don't pick the games. We can't do everything. This game's not going to be played. I'm sitting here about an hour south, and I don't think they're going to play this game. If they do play it, there will be delays. Take that into account however you like. If you're basing things on starters, if you really like a play, keep in mind if they get out there for a couple of outs and the tarp goes out, keep that in mind with your pitchers and how you're going to adjust to that. But this is Clevinger's first start since 2020. He had 3 starts down in A and then moved up to AAA. He's got really swing and miss stuff right now on his way back. So, there's some aspects to look at it with props. I know Kevin loves props. Last time I gave that strikeout prop didn't work out well, but he struck out 16 per 9 in his 3 appearances in the lower ball before getting this start tonight. Plesac's a guy doesn't really get me excited at all. 100% humidity and 100% chance of rain and an ADI in the mid 60s. You get a 7.5 or an 8. I don't hate that over. Humidity actually is a boon to the over in the ball flying out. Cleveland's not a place that gets a lot of big numbers and kind of has a park factor that's negative. I'd look for an over here if you want in a disjointed, probably all day long game if it gets played. I don't have a big lean towards the side though.
Good stuff, Dr. Chuck, as always. Let's see what Kevin Thomas has for us in this matchup of the fathers against the Guardians. And before we do that, the weather forecast, Dr. Chuck, is it possible that they could start this game at, say, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? And just, you're in touch with the weather there better than anybody.
So I'm a little bit, I'm the storm cell's moving towards the northeast. I'm a little bit southwest of Cleveland, and it's supposed to last. I mean, let's just in Columbus, we have 100% chance of rain for the next 3 or 4 hours. So, it drops a little bit from there. And so this game's at 6. The percentage, I guess I would have to get exact numbers, but it's just an all day rain here. Basically, you had to get your lawn mowed yesterday type stuff. I'll just pull it up while we're doing this and see, but it says it doesn't drop to below 90% until 9 o'clock. So,
wow.
Like you said, it depends. I guess it depends on how. I don't know what decisions go into making these. Like, let's just postpone the game from jump. Sometimes you find out that they're in a rain delay, and sometimes you just hear that it's postponed. This seems like the weather forecast where they would just call it. But then, it also goes into scheduling and things like that. So in interleague games, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, neither do I. Let's see what Kevin Thomas has to add on a game that may not be played.
Yeah, I'm hoping it does. I love dogs, and this dog is barking here with the Guardians. I mean, Clevinger, yeah, he pitched great down in AAA, but I mean, how many innings did he get? 8 1/3 or something like that. I mean, he didn't go very long. I don't expect that they're going to keep him out there long, and especially going against his former team, and he hasn't played in a year in the bigs. But then you're going to look at the Guardians here. They had 10 road games, and then they get a day rest, and they're playing at home. So these guys are happy to be home. And usually, I would fade a team that was on a game for 10 and then came home and played, but they had that day off. I like that there. And the Padres, I mean, they played the Reds twice, 2 series against the Reds, the Diamondbacks. So they're 15-8 record. You could throw that out the window. I'm going to ride with the Guardians plus 120 here.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you. I like the Guardians and the over. So that's a good start. And by the way, guys and gals, we don't tell each other what our picks are before we go on the show, which makes it even more fun. And the reason we do that is to give you an idea of what the handicapping process is and the different ways to handicap a game just by looking at the way the three of us look at things. Now, I'm going to get into what Dr. Chuck really likes here in this matchup just quickly. But exit velocity, the Padres have not one player over 90 miles an hour, except for the catcher, Austin Noah, who's 91.8. Hard hit percentage, there's only one guy over 50%, and that is Manny Machado, third baseman, of course. And you look at the other side of the ledger here with the Guardians, they have two guys above 92 miles an hour, Owen Miller and Franmil Reyes. And hard hit percentages, they have a lot more that are closer to 50 and above than the Padres do. And that buys you a ticket on the subway, I know. But I think the Guardians are a much better hitting team. And I do like this dog, as Kevin pointed out, with Plesac, because Plesac, hard hit percentage is not all that great, but he only walks 4.4% of the batters he's faced this year. His launch angle is what I really like, and that's at 12 degrees. The optimal angle for a ball to be batted, and that could be me with a bat, you with a bat, or a Major League Baseball player with a bat, is 17 degrees. That will generate the furthest possible distance of a baseball. And then spin rate. And backspin actually is what makes the ball carry. It's not the uppercut that I absolutely despise that is going on in Major League Baseball, and that's why the batting averages are so low, and all you see is home runs. Anyway, that's a topic for another show. Clevinger, as Kevin points out, his exit velocity is right around 89 miles an hour, so that's mediocre at best. Hard hit percentage is 35%. But his expected batting average is 274, and that's not good. His launch angle is the worst part of this whole thing, guys. It's 18 degrees, and that's from all the games that he's been playing minor league up to this point. And when you have a launch angle at 18 degrees, you need to be getting the ball down in the zone. And any ball that he leaves up in the zone, I'm going to say is going to get absolutely murdered and probably in somebody's den after they catch it in the outfield seats. So I like the over. I think a lot of runs if they play, and Cleveland. So sorry to give you a long one there, but let's move on to the next one. This game will be played, I think. Cardinals versus Kansas City Royals. This is the battle of the Midwest here. Kind of an exciting game. The Cardinals are playing good, solid, fundamental baseball from top to bottom. The Royals, they're not the 1980 Royals with George Brett, and not even close. So let's start again with Dr. Chuck and see what he has for this matchup.
Well, so this is one of this series where this is actually the second game, and if you had the total in yesterday's game, you either snoozed to a win or knew you were dead in the water with that 1-0 finish there in the Steven Matz, Zach Greinke showdown. I feel like we've talked about Zach Greinke multiple times just on the show with the three of us. So today, a drop off on both sides with, Keller facing off against Hudson. So Kevin brought up the fact that the Padres are 15-8, and I think the bookmakers are maybe on to something a little bit there, because I ran the numbers and I forgot to mention this on the talk, but an away favorite with that record discrepancy anytime May or later is usually about a minus 150, minus 160 favorite. And so I think they're trying to get you to take the Padres. Why are they trying to get you to take the Padres? And so you could kind of say the same thing about the Cardinals today. They won. They're not, what is the number now? I mean, it's almost even. I think it's dropped all the way down to maybe minus 105, maybe minus 110 you're getting with the team here. And I just would not, I like following that big of an under with another under. The VMI for both got worse. The ADI got worse. The pitchers also got worse, but maybe that's not all that big of a deal. Just, unders are not in vogue with the public at all. And I think the more people keep questioning why there aren't runs being scored and things like that, I think the more the public wants to bang the overs, and the more Vegas is willing to hang 7.5s in games without pitchers batting. It's just insane to think that we had this, this deal made with no pitchers batting anymore in both leagues, and just under after under is hitting and runs aren't being scored. And I think this might cruise under again, just like yesterday.
Dr. Chuck, if I'm a first-time viewer, and this is a compliment, what in the world is VMI and ADI? I mean, if I'm listening, I know you taught me what it is, but if I'm listening to this first time, I'm kind of going like, man, this guy's like fresh out of MIT or something.
So I use it a ton because I like things that are like same reason that we use the SDQL, or we use baseball VMI, or Give Me the Dog, or SPODEVs, or things like that, because I like team agnostic stuff. Like, sure, I understand why people are like feeding you information like the Reds have lost this many games in the last, this team lost blah, 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 or the Orioles lose all the time, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the books eliminate that stuff. And so team agnostic stuff is important, because if you use ADI, which is the air density index, that's going to give you an idea of how the ball will travel, and you can base it on what the pitcher throws and how they are contacted, as well as, like you were saying, with launch angle and exit velocity and things like that. Use humidity, and then visual memory index is VMI. And what that is there's 4 different types of pitchers: loose, tight, reverse, and knuckleball. Knuckleball is the least common. And you base it on a 4-seam fastball and what the hitters have seen recently. And so a VMA is kind of like a zero. A zero can be your friend. That basically means things are even and the hitter is himself. And then however the VMI goes up or down is going to help the hitter when it goes upward, or hurt the hitter as it goes downward, especially if the pitcher is a 4-seam fastball heavy pitcher. And so what I'm saying is Kansas City and St. Louis already went under with a 1-0 game yesterday, and their VMI got worse, which means the pitches that Hudson and Keller specifically are throwing, they're not as used to. And so they may already compounding on the fact that they kind of stunk yesterday, they may stink again, and vice versa. Whereas like today, for instance, the Nationals are in Coors Field with a plus 25 VMI. Now, you have to look how they're playing, but basically the ball's going to look like a beach ball to those guys in the Nationals lineup if Marquez isn't on.
And you wonder for 1 second why they call him Dr. Chuck. After that soliloquy.
Yeah, sorry. That's
a compliment, by the way.
All right.
That was good stuff. I like that. With the humidity, it makes total sense to me. And, that's what's made you so successful. That's why you're up 200 units, because you have something that is unique to you, right, and it works.
It's a grind.
And I heard rumor that sometimes you go to the window, they don't even accept your bet. They just give you the $1,000 for the bet, and that's it. I don't know if that's true, because I haven't been with you when we've done that, but
they don't give me the money. But yeah, that's what Johnny Detroit was saying, is last August he was like, I bet you don't have a lot of friends at those books. And I said, no, most of them don't like me right now, so I can't. We're back at, don't worry, after college basketball, they all want me back.
Yeah, that's how I'm looked at when I go to do the NBA bet right now. But of course, things change, and then you become friends again. But anyway, Kevin Thomas, tell us where you think the best bet is in this matchup.
Yeah, I kind of like that total also, because the run support for the Royals has been horrible. 6 runs in 4 games. And Keller isn't isn't great, and Hudson. I mean, on the other side, he's actually what 12. He pitched 12 innings and gave up 0 earned runs. So
Mhm.
I'm going to put a small amount on the Cardinals for the first 5 innings here. I think things could change, but this Cardinals team, in my books, is probably the best defense in the NL, and defense wins games, especially with the way some of these pitchers are pitching now. Like Dr. Chuck said, you're not seeing the high scores, which we thought with the DH and stuff. So I'm actually going to take the Cardinals' first 5 innings, and I would actually ride that under 7 too for the plus money.
Yeah, I like it a lot. There was strategy last year. Rob Vino, Wager Talk, and I did together on the Manny's Pub Show, which is going to restart tomorrow, guys. So after the show, I want to tell you about the details of that. But we're probably going to go mid to late afternoon like we did last year, and at least for the summer, because when football comes around, we get busier than you know what, and it's very hard to get those extra shows in. But
Mhm.
that would be a great place to talk in great depth about a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Really do not have an opinion on this game, so we're going to move on to the last game here, which is the Rays and the Oakland A's. And I'm not a poet, but that just happens to rhyme when I said it. And that too is not funny. But Tampa Bay here is on the road at the Oakland Athletics. This is an American League matchup. Kind of, I don't know about the Oakland A's this year. I don't think they're going to repeat like they, repeat the season and the success that they had last year. But the Rays are in, I don't think it's even debatable, the toughest division in all of baseball. And you go through a stretch of say 9 to 12 divisional matchups in the American League East. It's probably like when Chuck's Philadelphia Eagles play the Patriots 2 out of the past 3 weeks or something like that, or Dallas maybe, something like that. That didn't make sense either. But let's start with Kevin this time. And before you do your breakdown, tell us what you got going on at sportsmemo.com, hot streaks, specials, whatever you want to say.
Oh yeah, I've been one of the top NHL money makers for the whole season, and tonight my trifecta, you get all three, my top NBA, top hockey, and my MLB dog of the day. So you get three solid investments for one low price. And I think there's a deal going on now for hockey playoffs all the way to Stanley Cup. So I would look into that too. But that's basically all I got going on today over there. Uh, for this game, though, the A's and the Rays, this is a rematch for Paul Blackburn. I mean, he pitched a quality game in Tampa the first time they played. I think it was 13-3 back then. So the A's are confident in this one, but Ryan Yarbrough, he's going to start this game. He's projected to start. I don't think he's seen the field yet, so I like him, and the Rays are one of the top teams at one inning, one inning, one inning. They'll pitch the whole lineup. They don't care, and I think they win this. And I'm willing to lay the -1.5 here for +140 just to get some value out of this game. I'm just not sold on the A's being very competitive.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Kevin. And don't just think about it, guys and gals. Get over to sportsmo.com and get his subscription. He's a money maker. We all bet our own money. We're professionals at this. And that's why we love what we do. And we do these shows to show you how we go about getting these best bet situations. So let's move on to the doctor. And boy, I'll tell you, the Sixers need Julius Erving, the doctor, more than anything right now. But this is a baseball show. So let's see what Dr. Chuck has to say about this matchup.
Yeah, you don't want a soliloquy from me. Talk Sixers, and we'll be on here till Manny's Pub. But this is our head-to-head matchup, guys. Kevin is excited for head-to-head matchups. There's nothing about this that makes any sense. You know, people want to back Yarbrough. He's a lefty. This isn't a series like the Padres and Guardians that hasn't had a game. These teams played last night. The Rays whipped them. Never trailed, scored right off the bat and won 6-1, and come right back the next night and they're laying 120. And it's not quite to the point of that winning percentage play, but I'll take Paul Blackburn's one of my dudes. The guy John talked about this. The guy really limits exit velocity, and that's not everything, but I can't make any sense of these A's. Like I can't make any sense of the D-backs, and sometimes you just can't, and sometimes you just have to take something that reeks like we goldfish and go that way. And the A's only getting plus 120 in this spot see, Kevin knows that Blackburn was great. And John and I know that Blackburn was great. These people see Blackburn on the line and they're just like, let me take these Rays. And I just am going to fade that. It's not one of my official plays, but I would definitely take the money here. And unfortunately, I was excited to circle this game once it was 6-1. Then I thought we were going to get a decent run line price, and we're not. So, I mean, it's pretty much money line or bust, and you got to get that win, and that's not an ideal situation. But if I had to put money on it, I'd go A's.
Yeah, I'm go against Kevin. I like Kevin, great guy, but in this matchup, I gotta like Paul Blackburn for what Dr. Chuck said. We talked about launch angles earlier in the show. His launch angle is negative. What does that mean? That means that batters are just pounding the ball into the ground. He has, in my opinion, one of the best sinking fastballs you will see. And if you have a chance to watch him pitch tonight, you'll see what I mean. It breaks late and it's heavy. And I don't know what the AVI or the ABC or the PBI is, but Dr. Chuck can tell us. And if it is humid, well, it's probably not going to be humid in Oakland, California. But you never know. We'll ask Dr. Chuck after I'm done here. His exit velocity is a little bit of a concern, 88 miles an hour, but only 41% are hard hit batted balls. Expected batting average of 260 is average for the Major League Baseball starting pitcher. But the fact that batters are unable to get the barrel on it, 2.7 walks ratio. In other words, the percentage of batters that he walks is only 2.7, which is outstanding. 25% of the batters he faces strike out, and a lot of them strike out on that sinking fastball. And it's a doozy. It's a very good one, and it just gets in on the hands on a right-handed batter like you can't even imagine. And I don't know if a right-handed batter has even been able to barrel up a ball, but he's got the stuff. And I think, even though it is the Rays, I think the Oakland A's get it done tonight. So, Dr. Chuck, sorry I didn't pull you back in.
That's all right.
I'm producing and hosting at the same time today.
The viewers just had to stare at my mug that as though I were talking. But I tried to look as good as your words were, but I don't know if I pulled it off.
Well, it's better than trying to look like me. I mean, it's certainly better. But do you happen to know what the weather is in Oakland today that would possibly augment what I said?
Weather. Yeah, solid weather. Both VMIs improved from last night, which would be a plus on Kevin's side. The ADI improved as well. But sometimes that's not a problem. Like you said, Paul Blackburn's a ground ball pitcher. So, take it for what you will.
Okay. So that brings us to the best bet segment of the show here. And, I'll be a nice guy, nice host. Some hosts, force you to go first, but which of you guys want to go first? Because I am not going first because I'm the host. So if you want to raise your hand.
I'll go. I don't care.
All right.
I'll
See,
go for it.
It takes a Philadelphia Phillies guy to step up and bring load.
I'm staying in this A's-Rays game because I know the Rays are going to hammer them. Paul Blackburn is pitching lights out, but how many times does a lineup get to see him, this quick of a turnaround? And then there's my guy right there. I'm going to go with Wander Franco for an RBI, plus 240 for him to get an RBI. I think he had 4 bats, 2 hits, and an RBI in that game. And Paul Blackburn isn't going to pitch more than 5 innings today, so I would definitely jump on Wander because the kid's a stud.
That sounds good. I like it. Your turn, Dr. Chuck. Are you going to pick a different game or are you going to go head-to-head?
No, I am going with a different game. It's funny. I mean, you can't go wrong with Wander Franco, and you can't go wrong with Kevin's RBI bets, man. I mean, that is that is such good value. I was talking this morning about Eric Pauly, and he put out a couple of guys on the Astros to hit homers, and they did. And I was just like, man, you guys are good at that. I do a lot of NBA props, but I have not hammered down a solid winning system in the MLB, and getting those RBIs, man, I'll just lose 5 or 6 in a row and just get discouraged, and I can't even go after it. But I am going to go. So for my best bet, a game that I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm going to go with the Nationals and the Colorado Rockies. Eric Fetty is taking the mound against German Marquez. I mentioned German Marquez, and I just don't understand what's happening with this line. So I'm going to go with the Rockies to win. This opened and has dropped. It's bleeding out. There's no reason for it to be bleeding out. I mentioned the VMI is incredibly positive, but so is it for the Rockies. And you get to Colorado, and in your first game, it's just not that great of a situation. German Marquez, I talked about this a lot with the guys, that Senzatela and Gray and Marquez and Freeland. All these guys are better at home. They've made themselves better at home. It doesn't make a lot of sense because it isn't what we used to see. And then these guys go on the road and they're not as good. And Marquez is the prototype of that. I mean, so was John Gray, but he got out of town. And it's just, sure, they came off of sweeping the Reds, and that's not anything special, but they did so in, pretty gruesome fashion. The Reds haven't exactly stayed in a lot of games, but it hasn't always been blowouts. And they just put them down hard. And the Nats are not hitting well. And I think you're getting it at 135, and I just don't understand why it's 135. And so maybe the Rockies are surprising, and they're going to crash down to earth here soon. But they're better than this Nationals team, and I'll just take that value.
Yeah, the Nationals are pretty ugly right now, aren't they? Maybe they should do a name change. That would probably help.
The whole city of Commanders?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be universal. It would show united together. Season tickets, you get both teams. You get both schedules to buy season tickets. That's a great idea.
There you go.
And then maybe they'd make better draft picks. But that's another show. Anyway, I'm going to be serious here for a second. And I am running pretty hot. 19-6 against the spread for 76% winning bets. I had a loser last night with the Sixers, but I'm coming back tonight with another 4%er. I'm 7-2 in the NBA with 5% max bets. And over the last 72 NBA best bets, I'm nailing them at 68%. So I hope you get over there tonight and get on board. I went 2-1 last night despite losing the Sixers game, and that was a Major League Baseball best bet on the Atlanta Braves and also the Carolina Hurricanes over the Boston Bruins. And speaking of the Braves, that's my best bet for this show. And I know I'm going off the card here with this, but I think we're allowed to. And I'm the host, so I don't care. Anyway, Kyle Wright is pitching for the Braves. 1.12 ERA, making his fifth start. Perfect 3-0. .833 whip. He's allowed 14 hits over 24 innings of work, 6 walks, 34 Ks. And guys, 34 Ks minus 24 innings. That gap is phenomenal. That's some of the best that you will see over the last decade, over a 30-day period. And this guy's got it going. And the Mets, the way I look at the Mets, yeah, they have did have the best record in baseball. Maybe they're tied with the Yankees now. I'm not sure on that with the loss last night, but I think they're ahead of themselves and they're playoff contending. I'm not saying they're not, but I do think after they have been playing so well, regression is likely to hit them. It hit them last night in a low scoring affair. Relatively low scoring affair until it got late. And I just see Kyle Wright mowing these guys down, and that would be the second loss in a row. And that would probably take care of the regression, which I would not recommend fading them in the third game of this series. But Atlanta is the defending world champs. And they're a little bit under 500. They're not going to be under 500 when we get into July and August. So these are the times I think you want to bet them. And I like Kyle Wright. So box that. If you're going to tail me, make sure you're boxing Kyle Wright with the Braves using the money line. You guys with me on that one, by the way? Do you like that play or do you like the Mets? Well, I know Kevin doesn't like the Mets. Just look at his hat. Who do you hate worse, Kevin, the Mets or the Braves?
I used to play, and I used to like Chipper Jones, so I would never root against the Braves. I'm just, I really don't. It's honest. I'm not really a Mets hater either. I hate the Yankees more than any other team because I just the money and getting all the big bats all the time. It just used to drive me crazy. But hey, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe it's more envy than hate, but no, I'm not a
I can
big
relate
hater
to
of
that
any of them.
Yankees. I can relate to the Yankees. I lived in Manhattan for 18 years, and during the early 90s, they were an underdog. It was fun to go to Yankee Stadium because they they were the underdog. They weren't always the favorite. And then Steinbrenner started buying the World Series, and I certainly wasn't going to take the subway across town to Queens to watch the Mets because that's the worst trip you can take in all of New York City to get to a baseball game. I'd rather go watch minor league baseball in Trenton, New Jersey, than go over to the Mets with all due respect. But Dr. Chuck, you're a Philly guy too, kind of,
Sixers.
right?
Yeah. So
Sixers.
I'm Sixers, but otherwise, yeah, I'm Bengals and Reds. So it's been, we're like the episode of the Seinfeld, the opposite. When one thing goes up, the other has to go down. So we take the good with the bad. We got a Super Bowl
But we all
appearance.
got Pete Rose. We all got
Exactly.
Pete Rose.
Right, exactly. We got Super Bowl appearance for the first time in decades, and then a 3-19 historic start that is looking like a 40-win season. But so I'm on the Braves right now, so I don't have a play in the Colorado game, but that's already looking like that's a bad start already. So if you like, I know John likes to split those double headers. So if the Mets get this one, then he will like that even more. But
Yeah.
I don't have a play yet in that second game, but I liked the angle of Acuna coming back and then not being in the lineup today because he hasn't hit worth a damn since he came back, and he's batting like 068. So I thought taking him out, playing him in the second game, I thought that was a little bit of help. And Peterson coming in at the last second, I thought that was a little bit of help. And Mets are already on the board, so Uncle Charlie needs to get his act together.
You're right, though. If my interest and my bullishness goes higher if the Mets win that first game. And thank you for reminding me it's a doubleheader. Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our full count show here for Tuesday, May 3rd. I appreciate your time, Kevin and Dr. Chuck. And be sure to get over and get their subscriptions. We're running a special right now, 40 days for the price of $30, less $100. You end up saving $248. And it comes out to $5 a day. And if you can't afford $5 a day, you either have to give up the IPAs that you're drinking or consider another hobby. And I mean that with the utmost love of a father talking to their kids. So anyway, seriously, thanks for watching the show, guys and gals. We'll be back here again tomorrow for another edition of the Full Count Baseball Show starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, remember, bet with your heads, not over it. And may all the wins be yours.